In today's video, the president just made a huge announcement regarding Israel and Hamas. Secondly, CNN just humiliated Chuck Schumer to his face. And finally, Apple has removed the ICE doxing app from their app store. You have to see the reactions. And all these stories will show you what both sides are saying and then give you the bottom line.
I want to thank the countries that helped me put this together. Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, and so many others. So many people fought so hard. This is a big day. We'll see how it all turns out. We have to get the final word down in concrete. Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents and having some of the hostages, unfortunately, you know the condition they're in, come home likewise to their parents, because their parents wanted them just as much as though that young man or young woman were alive. So I just want to let you know that this is a very special day, maybe unprecedented in many ways. It is unprecedented, but thank you all, and thank you all to those great countries that helped. We were given a tremendous amount of help. Everybody was unified in wanting this war to end and seeing peace in the Middle East. And we're very close to achieving that. Thank you all, and everybody will be treated fairly.
Okay, so what you just heard there was a major announcement from the president. This just was moments ago. He is reacting to Hamas, accepting parts of the proposal to end the Hamas and Israel war as we know it. They did not accept every single point that he had in that proposal, but they did accept to return all hostages. And I think that is a huge accomplishment from the president. Now, obviously, actions speak louder than words, and we'll see if they actually follow through. And if they do, I mean, a lot of people are going to owe President Trump a lot of credit here. Now, in case you guys missed out on this story and you're trying to get the full context, let's go back down memory lane earlier this morning when the president issued an ultimatum to Hamas. Take a listen.
Trump posting on Truth Social moments ago, right? He's now set a deadline for Hamas to give him an answer. Here we go. Release the hostages, all of them, including the bodies of those that are dead now. An agreement must be reached with Hamas by Sunday evening, 6 p.m. Washington, D.C. time. Every country has signed on. If this last chance agreement is not reached, all hell, like no one has ever seen before, will break out against Hamas. There will be peace in the Middle East, one way or the other.
Now, this actually takes us to a statement that the president issued also before that video was posted about the reaction from Hamas, and it's his statement to Israel. He has instructed them to stop attacking Hamas and stop dropping bombs in Gaza because Hamas has accepted parts of this 20-point peace proposal. Now, depending on what side you lean when it comes to this war, you might actually be shocked by this statement from the president. But at any rate, my point that I wanted to show you here using ground news is the people who are talking about this. Look at this really quickly here. 56% of sources that lean right are reporting this, and only 22% lean left. And that's really what I want to talk about. Why is it that left-leaning sources do not want to highlight when the president comes out and he says something that's very important? Hey, Israel, stop attacking so we can wrap this war up. We can get this peace deal done and get the hostages home. Why won't they give him any credit for that? Well, I think you guys probably know the answer to that. At any rate, let's go to more details about this statement and also what the president said. Take a listen.
Jillian, this just in from President Trump. He says, based on the statement just issued by Hamas, I believe they are ready for a lasting peace. Israel must immediately stop the bombing of Gaza so that we can get the hostages out safely and quickly. Right now, it's far too dangerous to do that. We are already in discussions on details to be worked out. This is not about Gaza alone. This is about long-sought peace in the Middle East.
Now, let's make sure we got the full picture here, okay? The president is saying, Israel, don't attack. Let's see if Hamas is really serious about this peace deal. Because if they are, they won't attack either. And that means we can go back to whatever we had before October 7th. And to some people out there, that's very important, okay? Now, how do I know that? Well, because when I look up ground news in this story, they give me the bullet points. Right here. The outcome depends on Hamas's response by the deadline, with Trump pledging full backing to Israel to eradicate Hamas if they reject the proposal, aiming for long-sought peace. And this is the type of research you guys can do yourself by using Ground News. As you guys know, I like to get to the bottom line, and they give you the bottom line points here. So there may be times where you can't watch my show, you can't listen, you're too busy, whatever the case may be. You can whip out your phone or go to your computer, look up a story on Ground News, and get the information you need to critically think for yourself. So if you want to use this tool for yourself, all you have to do is go to ground.news/Devori, or you could download the mobile app. Just use promo code Devori, and it's going to give you access to everything that I showed you in this video, including 40% off the Vantage plan.
Jake, this is super dramatic. President Trump calls on Israel to stop the war immediately after Hamas responds with a yes but to his proposal. I think this is a point we haven't been in since October 7th, and definitely we haven't been in since January 20th when President Trump came back to office.
Now, as I told you guys, I think this is a few videos back, I've never been to Israel. So I like to keep my commentary to a minimum as it pertains to what's going on over there, because I just appreciate people who've actually been to Israel, who have been to Gaza, who have been to Russia, Ukraine, and they could speak firsthand about the people and the culture and the mindset. I think that type of analysis is much more valuable than some secondhand opinion on YouTube, okay? But I will say this, as it pertains to President Trump, if they're able to end this war on the terms that he has laid out, I mean, how many more wars does this man have to end for him to finally get some credit around here? That's my point. And if it stops the killing and it brings back peace, that is a super win. Now, some people may say, well, you know, this isn't going to solve anything. Okay, well, if that's what you believe, then I'm definitely not the guy that's going to change your mind. But if we just look at the results, a peace deal brokered by President Trump, I think that is a huge deal. Now, let's go to our next story, and I think you will find this to be interesting, all right? We want to talk about some sweet justice. So, as you guys know, these radical leftists, they've been creating these apps, okay, to dox ICE agents, tell people where ICE agents are located in some capacity, say what their names are, even what they look like, etc. And so Apple decided today to remove one of those apps. And of course, Democrats are losing their mind over it. Take a listen.
Apple's App Store has removed an application that helped warn users about nearby ICE agent activity. The app, ICE Block, allowed users to report sightings of ICE agents within a 5-mile radius. It did not share personal information about the agents, but was removed based on, quote, information from law enforcement about safety risks, according to the company.
Now, before we get to the person who created this app, because you guessed it, he ran to CNN to, you know, cry about his victimization and how he's being targeted, etc. Here is a reaction from Joe Walsh, who is definitely an unhinged individual who screams all day long about how bad President Trump is as a person. And the reason why I'm showing you his post, because it really does sum up how the left feels about this. They're claiming that this is fascist behavior. This is the government overreaching, okay? And what I find to be interesting, okay, I want you to pay attention to this. Let me scroll down to the comments. There are people who basically looked up his account and said, did you have anything to say about Parler? When every single platform removed them off the face of the internet, you had nothing to say. So, you know, it's the same old, you know, censorship argument that is just screaming a lot of hypocrisy from the left. Now, here is the owner of the app and what he had to say to CNN just moments ago.
Joshua, how worried are you now about the Trump administration targeting you?
They've been talking about me since the app came out, and they've been looking for any excuse they can to get it taken down and put pressure on Apple to do so, because they want their paramilitary force, ICE, to be able to act with impunity, which we see. I mean, the guy who was just, you know, made headlines because he body slammed that person to the ground, and that woman, you know, and then they let him go. And that made big headlines. You know, ICE is taking action against this person. And like, what, 3-4 days later, he's back on the job as if nothing happened. So there are no repercussions. They want to act in secrecy, and an app like IceBlock does not allow that to happen. But here's the interesting part. If you see something in public, remember, our federal tax dollars are paying for all of this, right? And if you see a law enforcement officer in public, whether it's a speed trap or an ICE agent, you're just simply saying on IceBlock or Apple Maps when you're reporting a speed trap, or Waze if you're reporting a speed trap, hey, I saw something in public that I saw with my own two eyes that you can see with your own two eyes. I'm just pointing out where it is.
Now, this individual must think that me and you are stupid, okay? This app was literally providing intelligence to the neighborhood and local officials as it pertains to what ICE is up to, what are they doing, where are they? Listen, there's no app out there, to my knowledge, publicly that is telling you where SWAT is going in, okay, where SWAT is located, etc. Okay, that is just ludicrous for him to even try to dumb down what's happening here. And for the record, I would just have a question for him. Is it true that there are criminal, illegal aliens? Yes or no? Is it true that these criminal, illegal aliens are wanting to commit more crime? Yes or no? And you don't think those criminal, illegal aliens are looking at this app? So again, I don't buy his nonsense. Now, here is Todd Lyons and his reaction to this. Take a look.
Apple has removed the app that is called IceBlock. And the investigation shows that the sniper who targeted the Dallas facility last week used this app to find out where ICE was. How dangerous is that app? And, what's your response to the fact that it won't be available anymore?
I think it's a great step by Apple. I wish other platforms would do the same. That it's an actual law enforcement fact that if you put an app like that in the hands of someone that's an extremist, the field office director in Dallas said it best. It's like giving a hitman a map. The men and women of ICE would be targeted by these known apps. And you don't see apps against the FBI or a local police department showing where they are. It's only showing the men and women of ICE against people who don't like the ICE mission. And that puts the men and women in danger every day. And I think it's a great move on Apple, especially after the fact that it's now the FBI is able to reveal that app was used by the sniper in Dallas.
Now, did you hear that? The FBI confirmed that the sniper that was used in the Dallas attack on the ICE detention facility that left at least one migrant killed, all right, was using that app. But according to the owner, hey, the app is just fine. We're not causing any problems here. See, it's the same attitude from Democrats. They don't want to accept responsibility for the results. Okay, all in the name of we're just trying to help people. We just want to keep people safe. This isn't keeping people safe. Just think about that for a second. You're literally handing intelligence over to criminals. Just like sanctuary city policies. It's a nice place for criminals to hang out and to commit more crime because they know they're not going to be held accountable. You don't need to be a detective to know that by now. Just look at the results. The numbers show that. Now, here is Tom Homan also reacting to this nonsense. Take a look.
It puts law enforcement at great risk. People need to remember, ISIS, they're not just out wrestling illegal aliens. I look at the numbers every morning. 70%, 7 out of every 10 are criminals. And the other 30% include national security threats. To give anybody a heads up, ISIS is working right now on 14th Street and Broadway. If you're a criminal in that area, there's going to be that population, that percentage that's going to prepare for ICE to come, and someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to get killed.
So the creator of the app is pushing back, saying that Apple has claimed they received information from law enforcement that IceBlock served to harm law enforcement officers. It continues, this is patently false, end quote. But for now,
how could it not be? It's got to be true.
Not available now on Apple as of today.
Now, what's interesting, this wasn't the only app to be removed from the App Store. There was another one that was created by a U.S. Army Research Lab scientist from Baltimore. Now, he got exposed by Laura Loomer. She did some great reporting, so credit where credit is due. And it led to him not only being suspended, but the app being removed. And here's what she had to say in response, because Fox Baltimore, and I'll just read the title from them first, and then we'll read what she said. Fox Baltimore said this: in the wake of political activist and Donald Trump confidant Laura Loomer doxing a U.S. Army Research Lab scientist from Baltimore, Apple removed apps from its store that allowed users to anonymously report sightings of immigration and customs enforcement agents. And of course, she responded by saying, so it's doxing when I exposed the founder of the Red Dot ICE tracking app as an employee of the United States Army. But it's not doxing when these apps release the names and locations of the ICE agents. Make it make sense. And this is from Fox Baltimore. So that's why you can't really trust mainstream media ever. All right. Okay. So now we go to this next update. And listen, this is more humiliation for Chuck Schumer. I don't know why he continues to do this. He is back on CNN again, getting interviewed by Jake Tapper again. And you know what Jake Tapper does again? Confronts him with the same talking points. Hey, Chuck Schumer, you in the past always said that you weren't willing to use a government shutdown for political gain. And here he is asking him about that. And I think you can kind of guess how Chuck Schumer responds. Take a look.
So obviously we were here 6 months ago and you voted to keep the government open back then. And you seemed to be against at the time of using a shutdown as a tactical move. I want to play some of what you said in March of this year, the last time the issue was up for debate, and then get your reaction.
Sure. I have said many times there are no winners in a government shutdown. As bad as passing the CR is, as I said, allowing Donald Trump to take even much more power via a government shutdown is a far worse option. Therefore, I will vote to keep the government open.
Now, obviously, back then there was a shorter timeline at hand, but isn't the outcome the same? I mean, President Trump is threatening a host of federal firings. He's already frozen billions in funding to New York, your state, and other blue states.
Yeah, well, look, there's a lot of difference between now and then. Back then, we wanted to see what they would do, and we've seen how horrible they are. The horrible health care cuts that they made were made in June in their so-called big, beautiful bill. Trump even now says they want to change the name. They're so embarrassed about it. And they hadn't started doing these technical things called rescissions, which lets them undo the budget on their own unilaterally. So the times are different, and we don't want a shutdown, that's for sure.
Well, Chuck, I don't think that is for sure, because what we heard on MSDNC earlier was that you guys want to use this shutdown to get the American people to feel pain under Republican leadership. So you're essentially weaponizing a government shutdown for your own political reasons, which means, once again, that you're not in the business of serving the American people. You're only in the business of fighting against President Trump. And I wish fake Tapper would say something like that, of course, but we know that's not going to happen. And that's why you never really see Chuck Schumer that much on Fox News, right? You always see him on CNN most of the time. Okay. Now, here is Chuck Schumer getting upset because fake Tapper continues to push him on this point. Take a look.
So Republicans are obviously, their talking point is that Democrats want to give health care to illegal immigrants. Now, the Trump administration, when I asked them, what are you talking about? They said they're referring to this section in the Democratic stopgap funding proposal. It would repeal the section of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that addresses Medicaid, specifically one provision, reduced federal reimbursement for emergency Medicaid for hospitals. And some of that obviously goes to people who don't have insurance, including undocumented immigrants. And
Jake, it's all a lot of bull. Not a single federal dollar. Not a single federal dollar goes to undocumented immigrants. Not for Medicare, not for Medicaid, not for ACA. Why are they making up this lie? It's a typical Republican thing. They don't want to talk about the pain the American people are in or are going to be in because of these cuts.
See, my question to Democrats every single time when they start to talk like that millions are going to lose health care, that it's going to be Armageddon, our democracy is going to be destroyed. What happens when that doesn't happen? Then what? Are you going to go back on your word and admit that you were wrong? Of course they're not going to do that. They've been doing this every single day since Trump came into office or into politics. And when it doesn't come true, what they're saying, which I think 95% of the time it doesn't come true what they say, it's because it's a bunch of Armageddon stuff. It's not reality. And I think Chuck Schumer has put himself in such a tough position. You can't call the president of the United States Hitler, because then you put yourself in a position where you can't ever work with him. And if you do work with him, your base is going to throw you out the window. I think it's that simple. Now, here is Bill Hagerty on Fox News earlier today. Here is his reaction to Chuck Schumer. Take a look.
This is a temper tantrum by Chuck Schumer, and frankly what it is domestic politics from New York State bleeding into national politics. Chuck Schumer is deeply concerned about his standing within his own state. If you look at the polling right now in New York, AOC would defeat Chuck Schumer in a primary. He does not want to be seen as, quote, taking a knee to Donald Trump, as bowing to Donald Trump in any way. This is about demonstrating a will to fight. They don't have a point that they're fighting for. They don't seem to have an off-ramp. They have not figured out how to land the plane. But this is basically performative. And I don't think the public is going to like it at all. When Democrats get back home to their various states over the weekend, I hope they hear loud and clear from their constituents, the government needs to be reopened.
So needless to say, if we were going to choose the loser of the week, I think Chuck Schumer would come in at number 1. Then you'd put Hakeem Jeffries at number 2, and then the Democrat Party at number 3. I think that is fair to say. Now, let's get your guys' reaction in the comments section below to these stories today. Let's just focus on one. That major announcement from the president. If Hamas keeps their word, and that is a big if, let's just be honest about it, okay? So I'm not celebrating, and I don't think you should be either. However, if it does work out this way, the president gets what he wants, a peace deal is in place, and it is enforced and respected, and nobody violates it. That includes Israel and also Hamas. What do you think people should do with President Trump? Don't you think he should probably get the Nobel Peace Prize at this point? I mean, he's only, solved 7 wars. And of course, Democrats always want to minimize that point. Whoa, what wars? Yeah, because you guys never cared to end any. That's why you guys don't know what you're talking about. But at any rate, give me your guys' thoughts about that particular announcement in the comment section below. All right, now in our next video, we have a shocking update regarding Portland. This is in regards to the ICE detention facility that has continued to be attacked. The police department there on the ground, they refused to do anything about it. In fact, the only reason why they showed up was to arrest an independent journalist who prevented people from burning the American flag. You got to hear this story for yourself. So if you're interested, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.